Today's episode is brought to you by the Daily Gardener Friday newsletter. You can sign up for the newsletter over at thedailygardener.org. Hi there, and welcome to The Daily Gardener, a podcast featuring garden history and literature. I'm Jennifer Ebling, and today is February 18th. Today in garden history, we're celebrating the birthday of Valerius Cordus, the German physician, botanist, and pharmacologist who was born on this day in 1515, long time ago. Anyway, he discovered a way to synthesize ether, which he called oleum dulce vitrioli, or sweet oil of vitriol. And he also wrote one of the most popular herbals in history. And centuries later, the botanist Thomas Archibald Sprague republished the herbal of Valerius Cordus with his older sister. In 1544, Valerius spent the summer botanizing in Italy with two French naturalists. At some point, he waded into marshes in search of new plants, and then he became sick. When his friends brought him to Rome, they decided to leave him there, and they continued on to Naples. But when they returned to Rome, they found Valerius had died. He was just 29 years old. But thankfully, the Swiss botanist Conrad Gesner collected and preserved Valerius's work, which was significant. One expert once said, "There was Theophrastus, there was nothing for 1,800 years, and then there was Valerius Cordus." The plant genus Cordia is named for Valerius. Cordias are in the borage family, and many cordias have fragrant, showy flowers. Some cordias produce edible fruits called clammy cherries, blueberries, or snotty gobbles. Weird name. And today is the birthday of André Robert Breton, who was born on this day, February 18th, in 1896. He was a French writer and poet, and he's remembered as the co-founder of Surrealism, and he wrote the first Surrealist manifesto. He once wrote, "The man who can't visualize a horse galloping on a tomato is an idiot." And today is the birthday of Toni Morrison, the American writer, book editor, and college professor, and she was born on this day in 1931. In her book, Jazz, she wrote about the change in seasons, something we're about to go through in a few months. What can beat bricks warming up to the sun? The return of awnings, the removal of blankets from horses' backs. Tar softens under the heel, and the darkness under bridges changes from gloom to cooling shade. After a light rain, when the leaves have come, tree limbs are like wet fingers playing in woolly green hair. It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, The Secrets of the Great Botanist by Matthew Biggs. This book came out in late 2018, and the subtitle is What They Can Teach Us About Gardening. Well, before I get into my review, I have to confess that this book is a favorite of mine. I actually love it so much, I use it regularly during every month that I'm working on shows. And you know how it is, sometimes you just love a book so much, and it came time for me to write the review, and I just kept thinking, it's just the best. I really couldn't think of much else to say. It's so fantastic. And of course, the topic is right up my alley, botanists, the great botanists. So Matthew Biggs and I have this in common. He loves to research botanists and share their stories. And he, by the way, is a fantastic author. He's written other books as well. But in this book, he profiles 35 botanists who significantly increased our understanding of plants. Now, as with most RHS books, this book is beautifully illustrated. It's got that RHS look and feel, my favorite thing. I can spot them a mile away. And it's loaded with plenty of drawings, portraits, and photographs that make every story come alive. And I know Matthew is very good at what he does, because when I read a Matthew Biggs profile, I always learn something. And a lot of times when I'm researching dead botanists, I'll hear the same thing over and over and over again with just subtle variations here and there. But Matthew has really done his homework, and I so appreciate the research that he does and how beautiful his books are, because they make these people come alive. Anyway, this book is fantastic. I highly recommend it. This book is 224 pages of pioneering botanists and how knowing their work can make us better gardeners, and definitely much more appreciative about all that they have done to make our gardens today possible. You can get a copy of The Secrets of the Great Botanists by Matthew Biggs and support the show using the Amazon link in today's show notes for $16. Finally, we end the show today with a botanic spark that features Antoine Nicolas Duchesne, who died on this day in 1827. He was a French botanist, gardener, and professor at Versailles. As a young botanist, Antoine was the student of Bernard de Jussieu at the Royal Garden in Paris, and he made many significant discoveries. Antoine recognized that mutation was a natural occurrence, and that plants could be altered by mutation at any time. And of course, we're learning this right now during the pandemic because of how COVID-19, the virus, has mutated. But back in Antoine's day, this was a major discovery. And in his work with mutation, Antoine began experimenting with my favorite fruit, strawberries. Ever since the 1300s, wild strawberries had been incorporated into gardens. But on July 6th, 1764, Antoine Nicolas Duchesne changed the trajectory of wild strawberries when he created the modern strawberry, the strawberry that we know and love today. Strawberries are members of the rose family, and they're unique in that their seeds are on the outside of the fruit, something I always love to tell kids and show them when we're out in the garden. It's a great fun fact for kids. Just how many seeds are on a single strawberry? You could have the guess. Well, the average strawberry has around 200 seeds. Now, here's a little tip for you as the gardener. If you want to get your strawberry plant to produce more fruit, plant your strawberries in full sun and in well-drained soil, and trim the runners. Those three things. And you'd be surprised how often gardeners overlook one of those things. So if you have strawberries that are kind of languishing, ask yourself, are they in full sun? Is the soil well drained, or is it soggy? And then finally, are you trimming the runners? Now, I'm going to double back to Toni Morrison today to end the show, because I thought that she had a wonderful little quote about the strawberry. She wrote, "I have only to break into the tightness of a strawberry, and I see summer. It's dust and lowering skies." Isn't that great? Well, that's it for today's show. Just remember that you have a standing invitation to join the free Facebook group for listeners of the show. The next time you're over at Facebook, just search for Daily Gardener Community, where you'd search for a friend and then request to join. And if you'd like more of The Daily Gardener, you can subscribe to the newsletter over at thedailygardener.org. And don't forget that you can also show your support for the show by using the Buy Me a Coffee link over at the website or in today's show notes. This is Jennifer Ebling. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener. And remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day.